to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles.
Drama is back on Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Drama.
It's been a while.
Gangsta Grillz.
It's good to be here.
Good to see you, sir.
Great to see you.
Let's start with Gangsta Grillz.
Okay.
Which has, the Dreamville Project.
Yeah.
There's been so many great ones the last couple years. It feels like a resurgence.
How about that Grammy? With Tyler, the Creator?
Well, I was going to get to that. But Tyler wasn't a Gangsta Grillz mixtape.
Yes, it was.
It has the drops.
Ask Tyler. After it came out, he tweeted. He took a tweet from 2010 and he said, "Damn, I want a Gangsta Grillz mixtape." And then he retweeted it and he said, "Done."
You're right.
So it is Gangsta Grillz.
Yes. But it's also a Tyler album.
It's of course.
How many Gangsta Grillz tapes have been albums for people?
Oh, that's a good question. It depends on how we categorize it.
Well, we're categorizing this as a Gangsta Grillz Tyler album that won a Grammy.
Thank you very much. Shout out to Tyler, the Creator, genius, incredible man. I think that we have to really talk about when streaming became a thing and, how it counted before that. Because, Dedication 2 is treated as an album. Trap or Die is treated as an album. The Dream Chaser series is treated as an album. There is no competition.
So there's plenty of them.
Yeah, but, once streaming came along, then it became that there was more T's and to cross and I's to dot. So obviously, mixtapes, it took a whole new form. So in more recent years, Shot the Wife and Lucci, we did 650 Luch. That can count. Just recently I did OMB tape.
That could count.
That can count. Tyler, the Dreamville, I count the ones even before streaming as well.
You better. You gotta count In My Mind. You can't.
Of course, another one In My Mind, a classic. There would probably be no Call Me If You Get Lost if there was no In My Mind.
Right.
Talk more about that, because I think people forget the influence of Pharrell over Tyler and that whole relationship.
So for me it was and I've just said recently again, my influences growing up in Philly or, in hip hop, I was more backpack rap than I was Gangsta Grillz at a period in a space and time. So, I treated my career as a director, like John Singleton, rest in peace, or Martin Scorsese. So, when I first started making Gangsta Grillz, it started with, artists that were trap or street
more
artists.
in the street, yeah.
Tip, Jeezy, Wayne, and then I got to a certain point, and really that's even how the name Generation Now came about, because when we got drops from Kanye and Joe Budden and those guys, it was at a time where it didn't seem right to do a Gangsta Grillz with them, so we had to come up with another brand. But back to Gangsta Grillz, so when the opportunity, when Pharrell came to me to do a tape, was around the same time Little Brother did a tape, and people were around me were like, "That's not Gangsta Grillz. Gangsta Grillz is this. It's not that." And I was like, "No, Gangsta Grillz is whatever where I take it."
Right.
So to be able to do a Pharrell tape, it opened up a whole new world and landscape, and it was like Pharrell's fans and then Gangsta Grillz and the combination and the beats that he selected to spit on, and just that tape in itself, there's people to this day that the same way they talk about Trap or Die and Dedication, talk to me about the Pharrell Gangsta Grillz and how much that influenced them in their lives and so forth. Tyler being one of them.
Amazing.
I got a lifetime supply of ice creams.
I was listening to that the other. Matter of fact, when we was on tour and we was in New York, and I was in Jersey. I did a good 5 miles listening to In My Mind.
It's great. It's great, and it changed Pharrell too. It was the most anyone ever heard Pharrell rap
for sure.
Right.
It's
and he chose some challenging beats to try to freak.
He chose some amazing beats, and again I have to shout out my man Don Cannon, because he actually ghost mixtaped that tape.
What do you mean?
He did that tape.
Cannon did.
He did all the cuts and the scratching and the
How did you guys normally do it when you worked together?
I normally do the.
You
tapes.
normally do the whole thing, and Cannon would just do.
There was a time and a space where he would have engineered some of it.
Okay.
But then he got out of that a long time ago. But he that tape specifically, I didn't do none of the
actual mixing.
None of it.
Why?
I think I was busy. I think it was around the time when I was on the road a lot and everything.
Okay.
And, you know, we were a team, and Cannon just like, you know, I mean,
It didn't matter. He could just pick up the slack.
yeah, and he's fucking fire. I mean, if you go back and listen to
the cuts are clean.
Yeah, the
Very
cuts
clean.
are crazy. So, you know, so shout to him for that.
Now, what's going on today? I got the new Jeezy record. We need to play that. Tell us
Absolutely.
where we're going on this next calendar year.
Yeah, I'm gearing up. I mean, we got a lot coming, man. So, you know, I put out a record a couple months ago, Forever,
Yep.
with Jim, Fab, Benny, and Capella Gray. Shout to KRS-One, who also, you know, made an appearance in the video. The Jeezy record, I Ain't Gon Hold You. You know, classic duo. You know, me and Snow back together, doing our thing. You know, it's got a good vibe, good tempo. You know, get Snow back in the streets. And I'm looking to drop a project quite soon. You know, so that's coming. You know,
Full album.
full DJ Drama album. It's been a minute. I'm feeling the vibes. Things are good. Generation Now compilation. A bunch of mixtapes. It feels like 06 again. The way people coming to me.
When you say a
for the-
bunch, you talking about one a month?
it potentially more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
And they're all Gangsta Grillz.
All Gangsta Grillz, and all gonna be treated just like albums. you
Oh,
know?
okay, nice. So all streaming albums.
All
with,
streaming albums. Yeah.
How do you? I don't know. I know you probably won't reveal all of it, but how do you work the deal for something like that, where they're the artist, they're producing the music, but you're using your brand and sound effects
He's
and all
executive producer.
So you get it.
You want me to just? You want me to?
I mean, you know, whatever you're comfortable saying, how the business works of that.
I mean, it works. You know.
You find.
But you'd be the executive producer or the music supervisor or some sort of
Of a sense,
collabo,
you know.
A&R, if you will.
Work for hire.
You get a
Yeah.
piece that you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a part. You know.
Okay.
I'm the bells and the whistles, and I get bells and whistles.
So what happened recently that made you clearly decide, like, I want to push drama again? Because you were behind Jack for a while. It was very much background drama. Jack making his moves. Jack Harlow becomes a superstar. And now you made a decision at some
The
point.
one
like-
Uzi Vert too?
yeah, Uzi
Because
first.
we've definitely seen TMZ, drama on TMZ.
Yeah,
like,
drama's popping
multiple
back up.
times.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yo, to be honest, it's been really organic. Like, it wasn't, I mean, you know, we as a company, like, we've been, when we have our staff meetings or have our discussions, like, you know, we lay out our, you know, our calendar year and where we're going with things. So it had always been in the plan for these records to come. But just the last 4 or 5 months, it's just, I've been popping up everywhere. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I need to thank Tyler. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you tell me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it never, for me, it was never a space of not pushing drama, but just as of recently, you know, I went back on the road with Wiz and Logic, and this is my first time being back on the road since 2019. So, you know, I just started to feel the energy again, you know, and I was in a space of, you know, not only, you know, of course, you know, having artists and a label and running it, but, you know, understanding in the value of my brand as well and what I bring to the table, and I'm having fun with it. Like, you know, I still get that feeling like I got a Grammy, like, for a mixtape series that I started in the fourth
crazy,
ward.
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Congratulations,
Like,
man.
So for
So
me,
cool.
it's like, and thank you very much. But I still, the way my brain works is like, damn, what can I do next? Like, you know, and I've been doing that my whole career. So I'm at a space where I know, you know, I know the legacy that I have. I know what I've contributed to the culture. I still love the culture and the music to the deep core of me, and I want to keep doing it consistently with signing artists, with the artists we have, as well as being DJ Drama, and, you know, however or whatever that may mean, being on the road and, you know, in front of 15,000, or putting out records, or, you know, Vegas residencies, or, you know, podcasts or movies or what have you.
has anybody ever documented your story? Like, have you ever done like because I feel like now a lot of like the Jack Harlow fans know you only for
It's
that.
crazy,
You know what I
yo.
mean? This generation knows you only for certain things, but I don't think that everyone really knows your entire story,
No,
like from your legal issues. You know what I mean?
It's crazy that you say that, because even when I go out, like this tour that I did with Wiz and Logic, like when I walked out on stage, and mind you, the fans get younger and younger. Like when I go out there, I say, if you were born in the year 2000 or after, make some noise. And it's like, rah, you know, still more 90s babies, but it's a lot of after 2000,
Right.
you know, but like they literally were like chanting my name like when I first walk out, you know, and the first couple records I play is like Tyler and then Dreamville. And so, yeah, there's like a fan base that, you know, is familiar. There's fans that are just familiar with me because of Tyler. There's fan bases that are just familiar with me because of Jack or Uzi, or fan bases that are familiar with me because of my Wishing record. Or, you know, then there's people that know me from the Gangsta Grillz. And, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even like, what? You got locked up for mixtapes? Like, when did this happen?
Right.
So it is very interesting when I meet people of a certain age or demographic that don't really know my whole story or know what I've done. And then, you know, there's people that may not even know I was behind Jack and Uzi per se. So no one has documented my entire story. That's something, of course, for me that I'm working on. And, you know, again, we're still writing it. I mean, and when I say writing it, like we're still living it. But I would say the closest thing, but even that, like NPR did a Tiny Desk podcast where they talked about the raid situation, and there was like they did like a criminalization in the hip hop series, and my story was one of them. And then like Netflix has the Hip Hop Evolution where they have a piece on me.
And the Tony Touch doc.
I was about to say, I know, shout to Tony Touch.
Ari Melber just had you on there the other night too.
Yeah, shout to Ari. That was he mentioned me when he was discussing hip hop and the criminalization of it. So, but you know, I mean, it is a goal of mine, and plenty of people have reached out and shown interest in telling the story. And you know, me and Lake have, you know, we want it to be right, and we want to, you know, we want to do it with the right people.
Have you seen the Tony Touch doc yet?
Not yet.
So your part, I went to the premiere thing up here. Your part's a big part. Like,
Really?
I mean, listen, it's not going to be your biography, but it is like a substantial moment.
Because what I heard was like I'm almost part of like the transition.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yeah, you're part of it transitioning, but then when it gets to you, it's hard to explain. They make it feel like this is an important part now.
Wow.
Like, let's get to DJ Drama.
Wow.
You know?
Well, yeah,
I'm
because I mean, when you think about it, and I don't know how much you want to go into it, but you have a guy who's helping promote music, right? And artists, and getting records and releasing records for promotional use only, and clearly you're not making them; they're being given to you, right? And then they come raid you for material that was given to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
Right.
like he was stealing music.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. You were the wrong person if they were even.
Well, no,
gonna
they
try
needed
to
a
criminalize.
scapegoat.
Right.
That, I mean, when you
and you were the biggest name.
By the way,
Right.
and I'm saying this all as an outsider because I don't even
For sure.
know how
No,
things
absolutely.
transpired to
Right.
them coming to your warehouse.
Oh yeah, they came at me.
But literally, that would mean that an executive, some of the highest ranking executives in the record business, were pointing at DJ Drama like he's the problem.
Well, I can tell you
They were looking past their own staff.
I talked to and first of all, let's break down that clearly within labels there's a separation. So the marketing department and the legal department, like the people that were giving me the records or wanting me to do the tapes, were not the same people that were saying, "Hey, this is costing us our bottom line when these projects are coming out and this is happening." So
Totally different things.
they weren't all in cahoots. After the raid, I talked to a few higher ups, and nobody in those seats really vocally came out and spoke in my defense. Like, and
They hung you out to dry.
I even got word from artists like, "Yo, leave the drum situation alone. Like, don't even comment on it." You know. And then for me, it was like, you know, being a student in the game and coming up, loving mixtape DJs and, you know, Ron G and Clue and SNS and Doo-Wop and Tony Touch and, you know, like, and for that to happen, and then for me to look at it like, damn, this shit's gonna die on my shoulders. Like, I'm gonna be the fall of mixtapes. Like, the guilt I felt was like, so internal that, you know, for me it was like I cannot let mixtapes die on my shoulders. I will not allow that to happen.
Did you feel responsible? Or were you angry?
Well, honestly, the situation turned in my favor so fast because Atlantic Records called me the next day and was like, oh my God, we can't pay for this type of publicity. How fast can you get an album done? You know what I'm saying? Billboard put me on the cover of their magazine in like 2 months when I gave them the exclusive. So it literally made me more famous than ever. So I was on fire after that.
Right.
Wait, how much time did you do?
A day.
A day.
Yeah.
How was that?
A whole day.
Tough day?
It was great hip hop conversations.
Yeah.
That's how I found out how hot Gucci Man was in the streets.
Really?
Yeah.
Was your
Because I was
one
like,
day,
yo, I was like, yo, who's your top 5? And everybody would be like, Pac, Biggie, Gucci, and I'd be like, really? Like,
Gucci, wow.
wow. So, you know, I got out like,
A research experiment.
Yeah, nah.
I was in there doing some research.
Yeah. Cannon had already been in the jail system, so he actually had to, because he was already in this, he had done like a brief, he had got locked up before. They had made him change out, so he wound up having to put the orange jumpsuit on.
Oh, you didn't even have to put the jumpsuit on?
Nah, I never even put the jumpsuit on. So, you know, I did my time.
Were
though.
you scared at any point that you could do real time? Like, was that a legit fear for a moment?
When we got in there, when they first locked us up and said, "Yo, you're being arrested for bootlegging and racketeering," and they took us to Wright Street, and then, however, we went in front of the judge, and they said no bond. I was shook, like no bond, like no, but what? So, but then the next day they gave us like $100,000 bond.
Racketeering is far.
It's crazy.
Racketeering.
I never really know what
It's
racketeering
far.
means. What is racketeering?
I mean, it's like
the
it's a
RICO.
racket.
It's
It's
fucking
you're running a racket. You're
Yeah, it's Al
racketeering.
Capone.
You're
It's like
you know.
a criminal organization.
Yeah, a criminal org running a racket. I mean, I guess it was a racket, but
It's a racket, but it was a good racket.
I'm like a college kid. I'm like, what? Bootlegging a racket? Wait, what?
and y'all giving me this stuff. So what am I hearing about? Was it you? I don't know who brought it up about a Khaled DJ drama versus.
Yeah.
That was you brought that up?
I didn't bring it up. I mean, I did a couple interviews and it got brought
Rory
up.
and Mal talked about it. And
Yeah.
it came up somewhere.
Okay,
some
that's
other
where it
places.
started.
Yeah, yeah.
Where are we at
Well,
with
actually, I think if we want to go on the timeline, Nori brought it up.
Oh, yes. Drink
Khaled
Champ.
first.
Got it.
So
Drink Champs with Khaled.
That happened.
And Khaled said no.
No, that's not what Khaled said.
Okay. What did Khaled say? Go ahead, take
Khaled
us through.
said he doesn't want to do it, but he will smoke anybody or he's the best.
Okay.
And
Well, I
then
mean, the label, we the best.
it makes
a brand.
perfect, makes
It's
perfect
on
sense.
brand. On brand.
Then Rory and Mal, I did an interview and it came up. Now, mind you, I've been asked about verses for the last 2 years since even quarantine. So
Right.
this is not my first time speaking on it. I think this has been the most attention it's gotten since.
Got it.
So then Rory and Mal asked, and then Math Hoffa asked, and yeah, that's
So now we're going. So is this something you really want? Was it the idea that Khaled said he could smoke you but didn't want to
He
do
didn't
it?
say he could smoke me.
He said everybody, though.
He definitely didn't. I never heard my name
He's
come
the
up.
best.
Yeah,
Right.
You got to ask Nori. Did my name come up? I don't know.
Right.
We can ask Nori.
But here's
'Cause
the
I didn't hear my name, but
my
you know,
question is, do you
But
and
it makes
Khal-
the most sense. You
But does
agree?
it- No, but that's what I was going to ask. Do you and Khaled make the most sense? Like, I don't think of them in the same vein, really.
I mean,
Why not?
I would say in the last 10 years, the last 15 years, we're the most two popular hip hop DJs.
Yes, in a broad sense, most popular. Yes,
What are
but
you saying?
What I'm saying is Drama is one of the most important mixtape DJs of all time.
Okay.
Khaled is one of the most important sort of
Producer, personality,
producer,
DJs.
personality, public facing. Like, but he's not a mixtape guy.
So-
he was
so-
pirate radio,
so
but he
when-
wasn't mixtapes.
When I'm talking
He's a
on
radio. There, he's a radio guy. Though.
when I'm talking on them tapes, that's not personality.
True.
That shit I say on them tapes. That's what?
it's tight, tightening up.
The only thing I can't do is make my shit rhyme. Nobody's touching me in my talk game.
There you go.
So verses ain't about talk game. Verses ain't even about
This
talk
is the
game.
2022 drama I've been seeing.
Yeah, I'm in my zone.
Now listen.
I'm not holding back.
No, wait,
I done
now,
did
why
I done
everybody-
did too much for the
No,
culture.
I can't
man.
even let this fly.
Yeah.
Where everybody pops they shit about they talk game.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
best
no.
talker
And it's
in
about-
history
and it's-
works here at this radio station.
Oh, and
that's
he-
Funk Flex.
And yo, do you know how
Khaled knows.
And
you
I-
know.
and I know.
Everybody
And
knows.
I tell Flex, yo, you're the only person left on radio that's still making epic moments.
Yeah,
like
man.
that, I mean, like radio moments. Like when I still come to the city and I turn on the radio and I hear him offering challenges to artists. Like I said, Flex, like you're keeping radio alive. Like respectfully, you know.
We do our numbers. We do our numbers.
No, of course.
No, that's a different.
It's very different.
But I watch you guys on the treadmill on YouTube.
That's right. Different experience.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm still I want to turn on the radio when Flex is on and hear him talk crazy. Like
you don't know who he's going to be annihilating that night.
Like
or just challenging. Where's your music at? You got till Thursday.
Yo, I love it. Like he's keeping
but
that
he's
energy
also
there.
and we're gonna get back to you and Khaled, but he's also giving some artists purpose too, which some artists have, I think, realized that like, yo, I got a deadline to meet. My name's being called out.
Yeah.
I got to deliver a joint. Like this is an opportunity, a springboard moment, which I think is great for artists too.
Yeah. Listen, on the Khaled situation, I just want to leave it here. Like I've said my piece about, you know, I'm with all the smoke. I would love to do it. It's great for
and you think he's the right matchup.
It's great for verses. Like, you know, I mean, I have a catalog of records. I have a catalog of projects. I have 2 superstar artists, Lil Uzi Vert and Jack Harlow. Like, you know, obviously we have to figure out.
You gotta have to deal with them whole verses though. When he brings them whole verses.
Bro, I got culture, bro. Like, I respect all that. Like, and this is the thing. Listen, I have said Khaled's name. Let's see Khaled say Drama's name. I want to see on record. Someone asked Khaled, what do you think about DJ Drama and the verses? And let me put it like this. I do nothing but tip my hat and salute to that man and his accomplishments and the greatness that he has done for the culture.
It's all love.
It's all love. It's just competition.
That's it. It's hip-hop.
When we get on that court, I'm ready to bust anybody's ass.
He got a lot of joints, man.
A lot.
There's a lot of
and
music
guess
there.
what? I do too. I really like that.
Now,
I said you, by the way. You just ended
said
yourself.
me.
Yeah, I
I'm
said you
sorry.
got a lot of joints.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I do too.
Oh, yeah.
what would you say is your biggest, most successful record you've ever done? Of your tapes, of your things, not the artists, but the things you've done.
Like my songs?
Yeah, your song.
While you're thinking, my number one drama song that I love, I still listen to all the time is My Moment.
Yeah, I would probably say My Moment.
My Moment is
My
incredible.
Moment is the record that people talk to me. I mean, Wishing was a big record too. I'd say
My Moment.
My Moment and Wishing. Oh My was a big record for me in the club.
Yep.
That was like really the first time I really got a lot of good radio play and club play. But yeah, I would say My Moment and Wishing.
What's your culture classic?
Cannon remix?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can't be touched. Yeah. Oh, and don't let me bring out Tyler's album.
Yeah, you get to play the whole album.
The whole album. Where is Cannon, sir? By the way,
He's in Atlanta.
Well, he doesn't talk to people. He doesn't.
He's like, you know, he's the Rick Rubin of the generation now. Yeah. You know, he waters his garden and
I love that.
Works out every day. And drinks a lot of water and he's
man,
healthy.
it's the life, man. It's the
Yeah.
life,
You
man.
love it.
Yo, man, I love. I listen. I hope one day.
And guess
man.
what? Works very hard. Is in the studio
For sure.
every day.
But he wakes up, walks his property. I'm sure.
Nice property. I
Might
must
go
say.
for a horseback ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smoke a
A
bone.
lot of land.
Drink some water,
He's
work
not-
out, and
he's
then
not
go
a
to
smoke-
work.
He's not a smoker, but yeah, he works out and then goes to work.
I love that. I
Wait,
can't wait.
Drama. So, what went through your mind when you saw our Jack Harlow interview? And the whole like Brandy Ray
Him
J
not knowing
moment?
Brandy and Ray J was siblings.
What went through my mind? Because I remember I was in Jamaica at the time, and at first I was like, dope. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe it's his age.
That's what we thought.
And then I was like, okay, well, is it his age and his caucasity?
Yeah. Caucasity affects it.
But it led for a great moment. I mean, it then went into the BET Awards and having one of the biggest moments at the BET Awards with
him and Brandy.
So I thank you guys for asking that question.
It gave BET a reason.
He gave us a great setup.
Is it hard for you when like you've been? I remember the first time you brought Jack up here was a long time ago. And
Right.
you came that you were bringing him like it was like The reason I sat with Jack Harlow is because Drama was like, I'm bringing this guy from Louisville. You want to talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, Drama. Now, all these years later, Drama's in Jamaica. Jack has an entire team. Shouts to Nemo. He's a whole squad.
Shout out to Nemo. Shout out to Urban.
And they come up here. Are you nervous at all, like when you're removed from it and you just have to watch from afar and see how the kid does?
Nah, because Jack is like, yeah, he's thorough. I mean, he's so quick on his toes. He's so witty. Like, you know.
And he's purpose. Just after us meeting the kid and us hearing like his purpose and focus and not drinking and just really being about the work and the music and doing it right and living right, like
yeah,
he seems pretty focused.
Nah, he's definitely focused. So I have no worries.
I love the idea that there are people out there who only know Drama, like because Jack has teeny bop fans.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously he's a white boy rapping well, handsome young man. He's got his teeny bop fans. I love the idea that there are people out there who consider Drama just like his Scooter Braun. Like, Scooter can DJ? You know what I mean? Like, that's hilarious to me because that's how a lot of people knew Jack was from you.
I kind of love that, though. Like,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, when I think about, like Laura said, like, what people know me for in my career is so dope to me. Like, and really it just shows my longevity and the way I've been able to navigate through the culture all this time.
Bro, you know how many people fail at putting artists on? Well, I'm not going to name names because it's disrespectful. But if you go through the list of people who are like, here are my artists, and then you see how many turned into a Jack or an Uzi. Yeah. I mean, Uzi's so big, I don't even know Uzi's music. Literally. Uzi has songs come out that get 9 million streams. And I'm like, I never even heard of this record. Like, his fan base is
crazy.
rabid.
They hate my guts too, boy.
They do?
Just because that same
Because of the
That's
premiere thing?
the Premier thing.
Still?
Yo, Premier and Uzi are cool.
Yeah, I know.
Me and Premier talked about it on the show.
Yeah,
Still Uzi fans all the time.
Still?
Uzi richer than because also Uzi put in a song I forget recently. He was like, "I'm richer than Ebro." Of course you are.
Well, don't
like,
worry.
You better be.
They were on my back too, and
Why would you? About the deal, right?
They were, about the free Uzi campaign. So hey, listen, if I had to go through it, I'm
then
sure.
I gotta go through it.
Yeah, I did a lot more for the kid.
But
than
man,
you
you
did.
really hit 2 home runs. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Grand slams.
And I mean,
Have you ever passed on anybody that blew up and you're like, damn, I missed out?
Only before Uzi and Vert, and then honestly, we had the opportunity to sign ESTG.
That guy's on fire, bro.
So shout to him too.
He got a new project on the way. I love that.
Yeah, it's coming out. Jack's on there too. So, but
because I learned about ESTG through the
Jack.
Route 66 on Jack
okay.
Harlow's album.
Yeah.
Then went back and heard the other ESTG shit and was like, this kid is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Lake really was pushing for it. So I don't want to say we didn't want to do it. It just didn't transpire. But he was at Mean Streets every day working. So, I'm definitely happy to see where his career is going. He got a Jeezy verse on that project. That's so.
What space is Jeezy in right now? I need to see him.
Snow's coming.
What he sounding like? What are you talking about?
It's like 05.
Really?
Yeah. Snow's coming.
Take us through that verses that night.
I had to be there,
You sure did.
And
For
like
a multitude of reasons.
I'm kind of glad no one asked me to DJ because of how important they both are to my career. Interestingly enough, I think if Versus would have been at a different space, like where it happened at the Locks and Dipset, I probably could have been incorporated in a way. But I wasn't gonna miss that. Like I had to be in the building. So, And
were you nervous at all? Was there like any actual tension in the room that night? Because like watching, I felt a little bit nervous, but maybe that was my own projection.
We all did. Are you kidding me?
Did I feel any tension? Not really. No, I mean, nah, I didn't. It wasn't tension. I mean, I think one of the most epic moments was when, Jeezy made his speech and then dropped Get Your Mind Right. You know what I'm saying? And one of the other epic moments was at the end watching them perform Icy together. And then that night there was a party at Compound. Jeezy and Gucci party together. So it was, it was a real celebration in the city. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that probably was one of the first verses that had like watch parties and stuff like that.
Right,
but being in a building, I mean, I must honestly say I was really there just more as a spectator and just knowing of, the history that I had with both of those guys and, what they mean to the culture and to the city. And just like, yeah, I couldn't miss this for the world. Like, I got to be here.
In your interpretation of living in Atlanta now, for how long?
I've been in Atlanta for since '96.
'96, which was, I mean, that was when the music scene
that was right
really...
after I came right after the Olympics. So that was when LaFace, So Def, Dungeon Family was on fire. And it was really at a time when Atlanta, and even beyond that, like, just with like even Hitco being there, rest in peace, Shakir Stewart, like, so much stuff behind the scenes that was happening. Like, Ashanti, for an example, was signed to Hitco before she was at Murder Inc. So she was in Atlanta in the studio writing, before she got there. So there were so many things beyond what we saw on surface, on television that were happening in Atlanta, that were happening with writers and producers and, the Tricky Stewarts and the Brian Michael Coxes and so much. So Atlanta was like, I went at a time and a space where it's like, I can't imagine, it's when you think about certain stories, when you think about Emmett 50 or you think about Scooter and Bieber, like, I feel like when you think about Atlanta and you think about this kid from Philly moving and changing the mixtape game in the South, like, those are just destiny manifestation type stories. So that's how I look at like me moving down.
So
there.
when you look at Atlanta today, right, and we're seeing everything with YSL and the using lyrics as evidence and the Water Boys and the stuff in the streets and just everything. What is different now about Atlanta versus 1996 and what you're seeing?
I mean, I think the economics have changed,
Meaning like things are more expensive or people are like making more money, less money, less jobs?
I think less jobs. And then, I think obviously, there was a time, COVID happened and then, people were either fucked up or taking out these loan situations and then got themselves,
jammed up.
And that, and then, coming out of that, now they have to find ways of, figuring it out. And then, it's just, as we look at the world, like, the streets have gotten crazier and crazier. Like, where we think about where, what kids have to go through or live in 2022. Like, if we think about 20 years ago or 20 years before that, like, every generation can be like, man, it's crazier than when I was growing up. And then, social media has only just escalated everything. And, even with like gang culture and things of that nature, like, it's so easy to get on social media and pop shit. And then, from that, it'll cause a situation that shouldn't be, So it's unfortunate that, Atlanta being the Black Mecca is in a space right now that it is, and I mean, there's
what's the tone and temperature in the city? Like,
it's a little down at times, I mean, we've definitely had some incidents that have brought a cloud to the city in the last year, two and a half, you know what I mean? So there's definitely a cloud over the city at the moment. But again, it's also still a very vibrant city.
I was gonna say, I was just down there for the Bulldogs, Oregon Ducks. My nephew plays for the Ducks. We got smoked by the Bulldogs, so I was down there, and it was definitely like, I went downtown by the carousel. The kids was out there. There was people out there 11, 12 o'clock at night hanging out down there. Was at Centennial Park?
By Centennial Park.
Yeah, all that downtown stuff. And the vibes felt good.
Yeah, of course,
you know what I mean? But I just hear stuff, and I'm always wondering, like,
I mean, listen,
for people who actually live there, not visit.
Listen, during COVID, Atlanta was one of the few places that was open, like, very early on.
Yeah, it sure was.
We opened in April, like clubs and restaurants and everything. So I found myself outside in Atlanta, going out more than I had done in literally like 15 years since I literally probably became DJ Drama. Like I was out in Atlanta in the clubs, hanging out, and I felt the energy, and it was good for me because, you know, me not being on the road or traveling, it was like I don't want to get stale, so I still need to feel some energy, so I'm outside. Once the world started to open back up, you know, and I started getting back on the road and traveling and everything, I found myself not being out in Atlanta as much, and then now it's like, to be honest, I don't even really want to go out. You know, it's just like situations happen here and there, and you know, anything could happen at any time.
That's right.
You never know, you know, and not to say that I live in any type of fear, but for me, it's
You gotta
like,
be careful out here.
I go to work out, I go to the studio, and if I'm not somewhere else, I'm in the house watching Netflix or, you know, Ebro and Rosenberg and Laura Styles.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. DJ Drama, go ahead, Laura.
No.
Oh, I thought you
I
was
was
gonna
going to say, last thing on that, though, Philly's kind of crazy, too.
Very.
A lot of cities, New York, Philly.
Philly's.
But I mean, yeah, those
I
Philly
saw
numbers.
I saw something just about the shootings over Labor Day weekend in Philly. Was
Every weekend in Philly, I feel like that's what I wake
I
up
mean,
and see.
it's sad, bro, and it's like it's, you know, the youth. It's like, you know, it's really a sad state, and it's unfortunate on so many levels. And like you said, I mean, New York, Chicago, LA, like,
yeah.
It's been rough, too.
Atlanta, like, you know, when we talk about these major cities, and then, you know, again, I think the fact that the youth have come up with and all have such hip hop dreams, that hip hop always gets correlated into it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, they use us as, you know, as they villainize hip hop because of you know, what our youth grow up listening to.
Yep.
Because of association. I mean, and that's always kind of been the tie-in,
and it's been
right?
that forever.
Been
like Ari put on
Yeah, it's been like that forever, where you
yeah.
have kids coming from certain situations, and because they express themselves using this type of music, now it's hip hop's fault. You know what I'm saying? Versus, you know, paying attention to actually what's going on in society and what causes these real life situations to transpire for young people, and their lack of support that they have, or lack of access to
Absolutely.
Other outlets.
Like watching Lil Baby's documentary. Shout to P and Coach and Baby. Like, you know, Baby was talking about him going to school and him, you know, getting good grades or passing a test, and, you know, if his path would have went a different direction, he would have been in, you know, and on Wall Street or something, you know what I'm saying? But based upon his economic situation, or, you know, his environment, it led this path.
Right.
And we
But
see that
as
all
a society,
and we see that all the time.
All the time. But
Yeah,
as a
I mean,
society doesn't want to take, and those of us, you know, who sit in our ivory towers, right? We don't often enough point to the circumstances that our society created for these people. We
100%.
point to these other issues as if socially and economically everybody has the same access to
absolutely
the same things, and that's just not true.
And that's what I liked about the documentary too, because they discussed what happened in '96 with the Olympics, and how the city uprooted people from the neighborhoods within the city, based upon the Olympics and the world coming to Atlanta.
That's
you
right.
know, and gentrification.
Well,
and
and
everything.
by the way, same things happening in Philly,
Right.
Same things happening in New York City.
Right.
Same thing happened in Chicago with Cabrini Green, and when they knocked down and uprooted families and moved people all around, et cetera, et cetera. And even here in New York City, right now, renting an apartment is virtually impossible.
Oh, yeah.
The prices are crazy.
Nah, I've seen that.
I think the average rent right now in Manhattan, I think it's $4,500. And that's for like a studio.
For how many square feet?
Oh, honey.
800, 700, a
Yeah.
studio, bro. One room.
One room.
That's insane.
That's a bad deal. You could do better than that.
That's insane.
First,
But then that's going to trickle over, right? It's going to trickle over into Jersey, Connecticut.
Yeah.
It trickles out into the boroughs,
You know
right?
what?
And
You know what? $4,500 a month can get you in Atlanta.
you're rich. You have a penthouse.
Like, and let's
yard.
not even talk
You
about
have
rent.
acreage.
Let's just talk about if that's your mortgage.
Right.
You have 7,000 square feet.
right.
Like,
Which is why a lot of people from New York
come down to
Come down
south. Which is why a lot of people from a lot of places come down south.
Right.
Facts. Listen, DJ Drama, we love you, brother.
I love y'all too, man.
Yo,
Great
man,
seeing you,
congrats
bro.
on everything.
Thank you.
Give it up one time,
Thanks,
DJ
Drama.
Drama.
Thank you. Love y'all.